Hello, everyone. This is M.R. Rangaswamy, the founder of Indiaspora. And with me to kick off this morning's session is a dear friend, Deshpande. Desh embodies what it is to be a philanthropist. He has set up the Deshpande Foundation along with his wife, Jayshree. He has started the MIT Center. He's also started E4All, which is a great organization here in the US. But he's also done a lot of work for India as well with this Innovation Sandbox and many other efforts. And like I joke with Desh quite a bit, that when I grow up, I want to be like Desh. So Desh, welcome, and we look forward to your inspiring keynote this morning.
Well, thank you. Thank you, MR. First of all, let me start by congratulating you. I remember the conversations we used to have in 2012 when Indiaspora was just a dream in your eyes, and you brought it a long way. And, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about technology and social entrepreneurship. I got my PhD in technology. I practiced technology for about 30 years as a very active entrepreneur, CEO. And then for the last 15 years or so, I've been working quite a bit on the development sector. So what can technologists do, and how can we leverage technology to really uplift the people who are not a part of that economy? So in technology, things change. There are new opportunities to use technology to use for improving the solving problems, right? So any technologist looks at what's possible now and look at the problems. And when you come up with a new way of doing something, a new innovation that solves a burning problem, you have an impact. You have an opportunity to create a startup. And that wasn't the case when we were starting startups in 80s. Starting a startup was, in all of Boston. When I started my first company, there were maybe 5 or 6 entrepreneurs like Ken Olson, Dick Castro, and so on. But come 40 years later, we have a pretty good ecosystem where if you have an idea, if you have a new technology, if you have a new business idea, anything new, anything innovative that solves a problem, you actually can create an enterprise and you can create unicorns and so on. So that machine is well oiled now. But all those efforts, organizations, have a big impact on people who have disposable income, people who are very much like us. So in some ways, it's an easier problem to solve because it's easy to understand what people need, because those people for whom you're developing products and services are very much like you. But when you start targeting those skills and those lever points to the people who are not a part of that economy, people who live on $1 a day, $2 a day, it's very hard to understand the customer base. So sometimes I think as technologists, we make the mistake of thinking that we know their problems and coming up with a solution and try to push that solution. So the first lesson is, don't go with solutions to the development sector. Really co-create the solution with them. They understand their problems, but they still need innovation, because if you don't do something differently, nothing much is going to change. So you have to co-create the solution with them. And then you have to build capacity within those communities to spread that solution. But once the capability starts getting built up, there is a huge leverage to be had by introducing more and more sophistication into that solution so that you can scale it. One of the things that you have to do with technology is you come up with a new solution, you have some traction, but you don't survive unless you do things cheaper, better, and faster. So there is constant investment in innovation and improving solutions and improving the impact and so on. But unfortunately, in the development sector, that doesn't happen because there's no competition. So you come up with a solution and you stick with the same solution forever. And so there's a huge leverage to be had by bringing this practice of cheaper, better, and faster to the development sector. so that you're constantly improving it, you're injecting more sophistication, more technology, and so on, so that you can scale the impact. So I'll just give you one example. For example, in the program that we do in India, we started with a program to increase the income of the farmers. So in a lot of the rain-fed irrigated land, water is the biggest multiplier of income. So if you dig a hole that's 100 feet by 100 feet by 10 feet, it can irrigate 5 acres of land. So it becomes a farm pond, which is privately owned by one farmer, and he can use that water to irrigate and grow 2 crops. So it turns out that that simple intervention can double and triple the income of the farmer. So in 2013, when Ratan Tata had come to Hubli, I talked to him and he said, yeah, that makes sense. Why don't I give you 5 machines? So he gave us 5 JCB machines. So we did about 150 of them for free for farmers. We learned how to create one of these farm ponds in 4 days. We also made sure that the farmer actually doubles and triples the income. And then over the last 6 years, we did 6,000 of them. And they typically cost about 80,000 rupees. So a farmer paid 55, we paid 25. And we did 6,000 of them. And now we have a backlog of 10,000. So we just launched a new program of 100,000 farm ponds, which is like an 800 crore program, where the farmer pays 20,000. The State Bank of India gives a loan of 60,000. We build the farm pond. And then in a year, we work with the farmer to make sure that he returns that loan. But to be able to implement this 100,000 farm pond program, we have a chief global technology officer in Silicon Valley, and we're building this rural technology transformation center, which leverages a whole bunch of satellites that go around India to look at the water levels, ideally locate the farm pond and so on. So it's nice to be able to, I think when I started off, MIT has a lot of these programs to help poor nations and so on. I thought technology would solve problems, but the learning there was, if you lead too much with complexity and solutions, you don't get there. But it's very nice to be able to see now that some of our simple solutions are now scaling to the point where we can actually introduce all the things that we know: financial engineering and technology, business planning, process control, all the things that we use in our business, we can use for the development sector. The other point that I want to make is that, I left India in 1973, a long time ago, and there wasn't much there in 73. I actually majored in computer science. There was not a single computer in India. There was no confidence. There were no companies apart from Tatas and Birlas. There was very little that the young people really believed in. And so quite a few of us came outside of India, and most of us, did pretty good. But that was only a part of the story. Meanwhile, in the last 50 years, India has come a long way. I would say there's probably 1% of the Indian population, which is a large number, which is 14 million, who are second to none in the world. And they're very capable. And they're in all fields, whether it's engineering or medicine or accounting or law, or if you pick any area, there are excellent people in India. So India, I think, really offers this great opportunity where if all of us who are outside of India can just give a little bit of a helping hand, that India can use the talent, global talent that they have within the country and apply to these big problems that the country has to really solve these problems in a way. In some ways, all the stuff that we do in technology, the unicorns and everything else, is what's creating this big divide, But I firmly believe that this innovation, entrepreneurship, technology is also a tool that can be used to bridge this divide. And so I'm very hopeful that India can be the ground where we use all these powerful techniques to really solve the development software, push these people into the free market economy so that they can do their own self-sustained living and improve their own lives, and really become a beacon of hope for the rest of the world. because there is no other country in the world where you get this intersection of freedom to operate, you can do what you want to do, the global talent, globally competent talent, and problems that are huge and immense. And so it's a great playground to actually come up with solutions and bring hope to millions of people. And I'm very, very thankful to the 100 philanthropists who are actually leading this effort and thousands of other people who are all there to really make this dream happen. So thank you very much, MR. Thank you for pulling all the people together.
Thank you, Desh, for this really inspiring keynote. Very inspiring to learn how you have for many years now directed your philanthropy and giving at the intersection of entrepreneurship, innovation, and compassion and creativity. So thank you again for joining us, and it's an honor to have your Kickstarter launch event.